So last night I waited for midnight when the reading rush started so I could start reading one of my books, and I decided that I'm going to start reading Half a Yellow Sun because I think this is going to be my hardest one for me to get through because it's going to be quite heavy material. And I did one chapter and I've actually found the writing a lot easier than I thought. I thought I was going to be quite intimidated by this, but so far it's so good. And I think I'm going to end up having to switch between Half a Yellow Sun and American Marriage quite a lot because in American Marriage I need to read outside, and so I think I'll end up reading them both at the same time and just grabbing whenever sunshine time I can to read an American Marriage. But right now, even though it's sunny, I want to get a bit further into Half a Yellow Sun before I start sitting outside to read an American Marriage. Also going on during Reading Rush Week, I've actually got another challenge going on that's going to span this week and next week, and that is the Tier Fund Climbing for Poverty. I was asked to join the team by Belle's Books here on YouTube, and what it is, you'll be climbing your stairs every single day for 14 days, either 35 times a day to climb Ben Nevis, or what I'm going to be doing is the 4 Peaks Challenge, which is 110 times a day to climb the 4 peaks. So it's the first day of that challenge, and I've just climbed my stairs 55 times, and I've realised that this is actually going to take quite a bit of my time up, and that I could actually hit 2 birds in one stone with this challenge and the Reading Rush challenge. So I thought that I'm going to add an audiobook into my Reading Rush TBR, and I'm going to add the Tattooist of Auschwitz because that's 7.5 hours long, and I think it's going to take me an hour a day to climb my stairs 110 times. So the Tattooist of Auschwitz should nicely fit into this week, and I'm going to add that in because it fits with the prompt, read a book that begins with the. But the whole point of this climbing challenge is to raise money for the Yemen crisis. At the moment, Yemen is going through the biggest humanitarian crisis in the world today. 28 million people are in need of humanitarian aid. So the Tier Fund is raising money by setting across this challenge. So the link will be in my bio, both for Belle's Books and for the Just Giving page that our team is using to raise money. So if you could donate anything at all, no matter how small it is, to help the people in Yemen who are at the moment being struck by some of the worst poverty crises that we've had in the world today. So if you could donate anything, the link for the Just Giving Team Fund will be in the bio. You go click on the link, click on the team member you want to donate to. You can click on any of us and donate money to the Tier Fund helping the Yemen crisis. Just wanted to update you on where I'm at. It's currently Thursday, which is the 4th day of the Reading Rush Challenge, and I have not been able to get that much done because I am currently tutoring, and for the last 3 days I've been mostly focusing on getting information research for that. Day 1 on Monday, I managed to read 100 pages of Half a Yellow Sun and listen to half an hour out of 7.5 hours of Tattooist of Auschwitz. On Tuesday, day 2, I managed to get to page 173 of Half a Yellow Sun and listen to another hour of Tattooist of Auschwitz. And yesterday, I only managed to read another 25 pages of this and listen to another hour of the Tattooist of Auschwitz. So my current status at the moment is that I am on page 209 of Half a Yellow Sun, and I am 2.5 hours into listening to the Tattooist of Auschwitz. And hopefully for the rest of the week, I'm going to focus more of my energy into the Reading Rush, and that's because I'm mostly prepped for next week's tutoring anyway. Friday, day 5 of Reading Rush, and I actually am not getting as much reading done as I thought I was going to do. I knew that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday that I was going to be limited because I had the tutoring stuff to do, but I'm actually not reading as much as I thought, and that's because I'm not being able to read late into the night. Weeks leading up to this, I could read until 2 o'clock in the morning, but I think I've burnt myself out a little bit and I'm knackered by 12 o'clock, which means I'm losing about 1 to 2 hours of reading time at night, which is where I was getting the majority of my reading done. So I've still got quite a way of Half a Yellow Sun to do. Is that the see speed? Not me tea! So even though I haven't finished Half a Yellow Sun, I think I'm actually going to start reading The American Marriage now while I've got some nice weather to actually start reading it outside, because I'm worried in the next 3 days that I won't have enough daylight or nice weather to read it completely outside the house. So not going as good as I thought, but yeah, it happens. Just like how one of the Reading Rush prompts this year is to read a book in a genre that scares you, and you've got to go out of your comfort zone to read that genre that scares you. I've also gone out of my comfort zone in my outfit today. I don't normally wear trousers, and I've got these big baggy trousers on, and I really don't normally wear crop tops, but it's comfy and it's warm.
Lots are strictly prohibited. I bet you don't even know what those are. I recall them being fashionable when I was in 4th grade, and frankly they never come back in style. But that's literally what I'm wearing right now. 74 pages in, and I have been really enjoying this book, but it's just hit me with such an eye roll of a twist that I'm hoping it's going to explain it out to be better, because at the moment I've just rolled my eyes so bad. It's 8 o'clock and it's looking like it's about to rain, so to get another hour of outside reading in, I'm going to move myself under the garage so I don't get wet. I've just finished An American Marriage, which is the first book I've actually finished during this readathon so far, and it ticks 3 prompts, which is read a book with a cover that's the same colour of your birthstone, and mine is November, which is citrine and topaz, therefore blue and orange. It also fits the prompt to read a book that's on a different continent to what you live in, as this is set in America, so North America is a different continent to Europe where I live. And I also read the whole thing sat in that chair out there, so I read the whole thing outside the house. I think I would give this a solid 4 stars. I don't normally like reading adult contemporary because I'm not really interested in things like marriage and affairs and babies and all that too adulty stuff, but it kind of worked in this. The parts I loved the most are actually in section 1 when they were writing letters to each other back and 2 from prison, and I really liked the idea of what they weren't saying in the letters and trying to figure out the mystery and all the different things they weren't telling each other during these letters, and I found that the most interesting part, but also the ending left me quite conflicted about whether I like these characters or not. But I think that's the intention of this book, because there is actually a reader's guide at the back. The reading guide in the back gives you questions to think about, and these are sort of questions that I was thinking of as I was reading it. And I like the idea that I've been left conflicted on whether I think these characters are good people or not. Each of the chapters, when you move away from the letter writing, is actually from the perspective of a different person, and it's written as if they are speaking to you. So you get Andre, Celestial, and Roy's perspective. So it makes it quite muddled to figure out what the characters are really like, because they're each from a different perspective, and how reliable is this perspective. So it's quite thought-provoking, and I was left quite conflicted about it, which I think was the aim of the book. However, I can't say that I was overly engrossed in the ideas of affairs and marriage, although I was kind of engrossed in the idea of the prison section. Not food. So last night I finished half of A Yellow Sun by Adichie, and this fits in with 3 prompts. That is, read a book that inspired a movie you've already seen, because I saw the movie a few years ago. Read a genre that scares you, and this is political fiction or historical fiction where the politics works into it quite a lot, so that's one of the categories. And read a book that's set in a different continent to your own, which is set in Nigeria in Africa, which is different to Europe. Even though this was heavy to get through because of how horrifying it was at times, I agree with the reviews that call this a literary masterpiece. There must have been an immense amount of research gone into this, because at times I really vividly imagined what the characters were going through, and each character is so different from each other. They've got lots of different backgrounds, and that meant that we had lots of different perspectives and saw the Nigeria Biafran War from quite an in-depth perspective as well between all the different 3 of them. It was captivating in moments, and other moments it was so horrifying I couldn't put it down, and the structure really helps to emphasise how quickly and how dramatically life changed during the Nigerian and Biafran War, and I really felt for the characters a lot in this book as well. I've given it 4.5 stars, and the only reason I've dropped 0.5 of stars because I'm still not quite used to the way adult fiction paces itself. And another reason why I dropped it 0.5 of stars because I'm not really interested in adult contemporary plots of affairs and stuff, like I said with American Marriage. However, I really appreciated that the lives of these characters and the plot space around these characters wasn't just defined by the war. So 4.5 star read, and it's going to be a lot to process. Because I've seen the movie, I knew that the ending was going to be one of those absolutely horrible hitting, you'll never know sort of situations, but even so, reading it out still really hurt, and I'm going to have to process this book a bit. So I started reading the courses straight away so I didn't have to go to sleep and have lucid dreams about this book. Not gonna lie, I've actually just sat here and fallen asleep instead of doing any reading, but oh well, it was a nice nap and I've got a nice breeze coming through the doorway. Oh, where you going? Oh, little fixies. So that's the end of Reading Rush for this year, and it definitely helped to triple up or double up some prompts into the same book to actually get some of the prompts read, and I actually managed to tick off 6 prompts in the end across 3 and a bit books. I had been listening to Tattoo Shavatsut every day as I was going up and down my stairs, and last night I did manage to actually finish that before midnight, so that was my 3rd book that I managed to finish during the reading rush. I was a bit resistant to the audiobook to start with because it's read by Richard Armitage, and there are regional accents for everybody apart from Gita and Lale, who had really British accents even though they're not British, and they actually sounded quite the same. And because this book is a heck of a lot of dialogue over prose, it was actually quite hard to figure out who was speaking sometimes. And I definitely think this book could have benefited by having a lot more prose in it to give it more depth and description. But other than that, it was actually a really emotional read, and it managed to span a lot of different aspects of Auschwitz and give you an expansive overview of lots of different parts of Auschwitz and a range of different experiences. I managed to hold out from crying until the author's note, where it explains that Heather Morris is listening to Lale's story, and this whole novelisation of a real story has come from Lale's memory and what he can remember of it, and it's all been novelised off what he said to her about it. So the author's note, the additional information, and the afterword by Gary, who is Lale and Geeta's son, is definitely worth a listen, because that just makes it more emotional, and it also sets in stone this idea of memory, novelisation, and true events. So where it helps you understand the line of that she is trying to novelise one person's experience and one person's memory, and it's not just a biography, so you've got to be wary a little bit, and how this is a story of what one person can remember. After I woke up from my nap, I realised that I wasn't going to get the corset read, so I actually didn't try and force myself to finish reading that, so I only got 155 out of 394 pages into that, but I'm okay with that. That book would have hit the prompt of read a book that begins with "the" and read the first book you touch, but I didn't end up finishing it. So the only prompt that I didn't hit during this reading rush was read the first book you touch, which would have been the corset, but I'd already decided that I wasn't going to force myself to finish reading that. The final stats are that I managed to read 3 books that hit 6 out of 7 of the prompts. I didn't actually manage to get the corset read, so I didn't finish the last prompt of read the first book you touch, but I'm pretty happy with my results, as last year I tried to do lots of individual books and I did not have the reading time to do it. I did manage to read every single day, and half of the Yellow Sun was actually quite heavy to get through, and that took up most of my time at the beginning of the week, so I managed to read every single day, but all the actual finishing the books all happened on the weekend, because half of the Yellow Sun is quite a big book and quite a heavy book, and I was progressively reading the Tattoos of Auschwitz every day. So thank you for watching, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.